After reduction of the five simultaneous equations which were given, getting this upper triangular matrix, which if you find out eventually the solution sets, you get z is equal to 1, y is equal to 1 and x is equal to 1. And the last two rows of this row reduced echelon matrix becomes 0, 0, 0, 0, and that gives us flexibility of having unique solution. Now, if imagine a situation that last equation, if this is -1, instead of that, if it was -2 or +1, then this 0 would not be there, last one. And then it will offer you no solution, because x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1, z is equal to 1 will satisfy first four equations, but it will not satisfy the fifth. Therefore, there will not be any solution. Now, because these five equations are consistent for a specific unique value of x, y, z, we got it. Okay. Now here, what might happen? I mean, I'm not using the numbers now because we will do the general game. It could have happened. I mean, the numbers can be arranged in the original matrix such that first two lines are exactly same and the third line also becomes 0, 0. Okay. In that case, third one, when the three lines, three rows are 0, 0, 0, any one of them can be above each other. You can flip them, but then z can take value z. Any value of z is acceptable, because 0 z is equal to 0. You can imagine it that way, and then you will have y in terms of z. Y is equal to z, and then you will have x is equal to. Now here, what is happening is, if you substitute y by 3 minus z by 3 is equal to, then x again becomes 1. X is fixed 1 because yz get cancelled, and if they are equal, right? And therefore the solution set, if this was 0 and this was 0, then you have a flexibility for one variable, because you ended up getting two pivots. Z is equal to z and x is equal to 1 and y is equal to z. That would be your solution set. And if you have 0, 0, 0 here, then the solution set is going to be two-dimensional, which is determined by the first equation given to us. Okay, so whether number of rows are more or number of columns are more, our interpretation about final row reduced matrix and the solution set continues to remain same. And always there are three situations. One, unique solution, where no matter how many variables you have in the system, no matter how many equations you have a system, all of them are concurrent, all of them pass through a common point. Then and then only you will have a unique solution like this. Situation number two, you have infinitely many solutions, Now, in many solutions, you have different cases. You may have infinitely many solutions having one free variable, so one dimensional, infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions where two variables are free, two dimensional, infinitely many solutions, and so on, depending upon how many free variables do you get after row reduction. So many solutions will have, and of course amongst the many solutions you will have the last one as r raised to n. Any point in the domain you take, it will satisfy the, so the complete domain is a solution set. That is the extreme condition of many solutions. Many means infinitely many. And the third case would be empty set. No solution. No solution. So any one of the equation behaves badly, which eventually will give us 0, 0, 0, 0 is equal to some. We won't be able to get any order triple or any order n tuple which will satisfy the given system of equations, and therefore the third category of the solution set that you have is empty set. Unique solution, empty set, and infinitely many solutions. Okay, so up to this point, I hope what is matrix, what is linear transformation, what do we mean by the matrix, what is the what is that matrix telling us? It is telling us the rule of the function on which the system is going to be dependent on, and how do we find out the solution set, whether it exists or not, or whether there are infinitely many solutions or not. By row reduction, row transformation of that matrix, we have found out a method by which we can solve the system of simultaneous equation. Okay, now this method is going to be the most convenient method eventually, because so far you have been solving two equations, two unknowns simultaneously by more than one methods, by elimination, by matching the coefficients, subtraction, etc. I mean, there were simple, or Cramer's rule. I mean, this is Cramer's rule only, whatever we are doing now. But Cramer's rule for 2, Cramer's rule for 3. So all our methods were limited for less number of unknowns and less number of equations. But this row reduction method that we have generated now is going to be such that it can be expanded to m rows and n variables, because it is going to be an algorithm. It is going to be an algorithm. Now, in combinatorics, we can calculate if multiplication is one operation, if addition is one operation, and if you have been given matrix of 100 by 100, say 100 entries by 100 entries, and if you were to find out the value of that determinant, because by using Cramer's rule, you can solve the system of equations, 100 unknowns, 100 equations. So your D, which is getting into denominator, the determinant is 100 by 100. And if you decide to really expand 100 by 100 determinant, and if you consider one multiplication operation as 1 and one addition operation as 1, then solving 100 by 100 determinant is impossible for generations together. Throughout our life, if we keep ourselves busy in solving that determinant, it is impossible. We will do those calculations when we learn the topic determinant, but it is impossible to solve 100 by 100 determinant. 100 by 100 is not too big. If you look at the pixels that you have on your screen of your mobile, it is more than 100 and 100 by 100. Those are very small points. Those are pixels. Those are matrices, which are the screens that we see are matrices. The screens that we see are matrices. And you can visualize those screens as small bulbs. They glow, either they glow or they don't glow. Depending upon their nature of glowing or not glowing, we come to know what kind of picture we are looking at that screen. So this is what is now, and a lot of research is going on in linear algebra, matrices and determinant. How do you efficiently do the calculation? As I said, 100 by 100 determinant is impossible to solve. However, if you row reduce it by the method that we have learned, by the algorithm that we have learned, which can be programmed, and we can ask computer to reduce the given matrix so that it becomes upper triangular. And if computer is anyway doing it, we might as well have upper triangular as well as lower triangular, so that we have a diagonal matrix with us, and we get to know the solution set very easily, very quickly. But those calculations, those algorithms are going to be controllable, easy to do, rather than evaluating 100 by 100 determinant. Impossible. Evaluating 100 by 100 determinant is close to impossible, not possible. Even if it becomes 5 by 5, all 40 of you will have different answers, even if it is 5 by 5. 5 by 5 is too big for you to handle, for a human being to handle. And therefore, this row reduction, keeping the system of simultaneous equations same, equivalent, solution set, we are not disturbing, but we are making those transformations such that they are easy to handle matrices for us, is extremely important principle, and that is what we have learned so far. Okay. Now the biggest question normally is, if you have gone through some literature or algebra of matrices, you would have found out that the matrix multiplication is some funny way of multiplying two matrices. Row into column. First matrix row multiplied by second matrix column, something like that. So let us first learn the procedure of multiplying two matrices, and then we go behind finding out what do we mean by this multiplication and what really happens when two matrices get multiplied. That is the agenda today. So let me first tell you the rule by which we should multiply two matrices. First 2 by 2 and then 3 by 3. Okay. Begin with multiplication of two matrices. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by yet another 2 by 2 matrix. Minus 1, 1, minus 2, 3. Okay. So many of you are aware how to do it, but let me show you. Row into column. Okay. So 1 into minus 1 is minus 1. 2 into minus 2 is minus 4. That is my first entry of 2 by 2 matrix. This is first entry. Second entry, 1 into 1, that is 1, plus 2 into 3, that is 6. This is second entry. 3 into minus 1, that is minus 3. 4 into minus 2 is minus 8, that is third entry. 3 into 1 is 3, 4 into 3 is 12. So after multiplying these two matrices, you get minus 5, 7, minus 11, 15 as a product matrix. This is A multiplied by B is equal to AB. AB matrix looks like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 1, 1, minus 2, 3. And therefore, maybe we will go through it again, but therefore, matrix multiplication is not commutative. Because B into A is going to be different matrix. Maybe let us do it. You do it. B into A is equal to BA. Show that AB is not equal to BA. So just do it once. Minus 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Row into column. So BA is 2278 and AB is minus 5, 7, minus 11, 15. Therefore, AB is not equal to BA. Therefore, it is not commutative. But then, when we say matrix is matrix 1, 3, 2, 4 is basically telling you what is the image of 1, 0 vector 1, 3. What is the image of 0, 1 vector 2, 4. So it's a transformation matrix. It is a rule by which you operate the function from domain to codomain. But then what do we mean by matrix multiplication in that context? Let us take it in general. Say ax plus by is equal to x dash, cx plus dy is equal to y dash. This is one system of simultaneous equations. And second system of simultaneous equation is Ex dash plus Fy dash is equal to x double dash, and Gx dash plus Hy dash is equal to y double dash. Okay, and you are being told to find out, you are told to find out how many x plus how many y is equal to x double dash, and how many x plus how many y is equal to y double dash. Okay, get me these, how many, get me this alpha, beta, gamma, delta. You know what is x dash? You substitute it here in the first equation. E times ax plus by plus f times cx plus dy is equal to x double dash, and g times ax plus by plus f times cx plus dy is equal to y double dash. Now we are supposed to express it in terms of x. So ae plus cf times x plus b plus df times y is equal to x double dash, and ag plus cf times x plus bg plus df times y is equal to y double dash. Okay, so what is the first matrix equation that we have? A, B, C, D times x comma y is equal to x dash comma y dash. What is the second equation that you have? E, F, G, H times x dash comma y dash is equal to
The second equation
y dash comma y double dash. Mistake?
So G G x
Take
dash
minute, let
plus
me check.
H.
Take AECF, BDF, AGCH, AGCH we want now.
Yes. Then the second one GB plus HD DH.
Somewhere I messed it up here. G F G into F here H. Okay. Now it is correct. So first equation was this. First system was this. Second system was this. And now what we have got eventually is AE plus CF, BE plus DF, AG plus CH, BG plus DH times x comma y is equal to x double dash comma y double dash. Okay. So what is this? This is composition of functions. You have domain in which your variables are x comma y. You operate function, let us call this function as g. You operate g, that means ACBD, and you get x dash y dash. Second set. From second set you operate your function, let us not call g or h, let us operate transformation 1, transformation 2. You operate transformation 2, which is EFGH, and you end up getting x double dash comma y double dash resultant. Now what is your aim? Your aim is to get x double dash comma y double dash directly from x comma y. and therefore you are required to operate some function t. Find out what function t should I operate so that I directly get x double dash y double dash. That is the question. And now you will realize you are supposed to operate t2 o t1. That is the composition function that you will get. As far as multiplication of matrices is concerned, EFGH when multiplied by ABCD, you are supposed to get A plus CF, B plus DF, AG plus CH, BG plus DH. And that is why this multiplication rule, row into column, E into A, EA, F into C, CF, first unit, E into B plus F into D, second unit, third, fourth. So this is T2 into T1 is equal to T. That is what is the decoding of multiplication of matrices. Second matrix goes as a pre-multiplying matrix. First matrix goes as a post-multiplying matrix. That is what FOG. If this is G function, this is F function, then FOG. Is this T2 or T1 or T1 or T2? T1 or T2, na?
Sir, it should be
Huh?
सर T2 T1 करेक्ट है क्या?
yes, sir.
T2 or T1 च म्हणतो आपण कंपोजिशनला. Basically T1 T2 of T1 of x comma y. बरोबर T2 or T1. T2 or T1. Okay, so let us do one multiplication for 3 by 3, or maybe let us practice one question 1. 1 minus 1, 2, 3 minus 2, 1, 3 by 2. Uh, 4, 3 minus 2, 0. 2 by 2 will become 3 by 2. That is why they should be comfortable. Two matrices are comfortable for multiplication provided number of columns in first equals number of rows in the second. Then only we will be able to follow this multiplication rule. Otherwise we will not. And therefore they are said to be comfortable if second suffix of first matrix and first suffix of second matrix are same. So do this. 1 minus 1, 2, 3 minus 2, 1, 4, 3 minus 2, 0 is equal to. चार अधिक 2, 6, 3, 0, 3, 8 minus 6, 2, 6 and minus 8 minus 2 minus 10 minus 6, 0. Okay, easy. Now, so multiplication of two matrices is possible even if they are not square. Only thing is that they need to be comfortable with each other. That means number of columns of first matrix and number of rows of second matrix must be equal, and the new matrix in RHS that you will get will have rows equal to first matrix and columns equal to second matrix. That is what is the dimension of RHS matrix. Now what is happening? Let us look at this composition which we have created. It is saying that the first matrix is 2 by 2, 2 by 2. So two equations in two unknowns. So you have x comma y as two unknowns in the first place. You operate this matrix. Which matrix? Let us call this as A, this is B. So you operate B matrix on that, and you end up getting in the system where you have two variables x dash comma y dash. However, number of this is going from R2 to R3. No, R2 to R3. R2 to R3. So xy are the variables in the domain of B matrix. This is supposed to be first B need to be operated. B is 2 by 2 matrix. So xy becomes xy, x dash y dash. And then you have a matrix here. Function B is R2 to R2 and function A is R2 to R3. Is this kind? So here you end up having R3. However, you have only xy getting multiplied with x. You will consider x double dash, y double dash, z double dash. This is actually R3 system over here. But you will be able to produce only x double dash and x y double dash here, because z double dash third dimension you don't have. Using two-dimensional systems, you cannot create a third dimensional, three-dimensional system. So it is always going to be subset. It is always going to be onto type of function, etc. We will get into that. So is this picture clear? This is the composition which will go from R2 to R3, R2 to R3, from here to here directly, and first two vectors of R2, that is 1 comma 0, vector 1 comma 0, that is vector I, we call it as E1. Its transformation is taking place at 6, 2, minus 10 as far as codomain is concerned. And second vector, standard vector, unit vector, which is E2, which we call J, looks like this. Its transformation is 3, 6, minus 6 in the final codomain. That is what this multiplication is all about. It is a R2 to R2, R2 to R3. And therefore, this R2 and this R2 should be same. They cannot be different, because middle set has to have only one dimension. For left hand function, it will have another dimension. For right hand function, it will have another dimension. It is not going to. Therefore, the middle set that you have will have only one dimension, and hence, why should we have number of columns of the first matrix and number of rows of the second matrix equal? It is because it is composition. And if you want to have a succession, the middle set must have only one dimension. You cannot say when we are considering B, middle set has got two dimensions. When we are considering A, middle set has got three dimensions. It is not possible. Therefore, they must be common. I am just trying to tell you the reasons why things are like that. You will not find these expressions or explanations in algebra of matrices that you are solving. I mean, you will start to solve after the exam. Okay. Now comes, if matrix is a function, then how about inverse function? Oh, when we learned inverse functions, we were very, very careful because inverse functions are dangerous functions. So what is the necessary condition for a function to have an inverse? Bijection. The original function, if it is 1, 1 on 2, then and then only you can think of inverse function, otherwise not. Correct? And therefore, what do you think should be the dimensions of the matrices? If at all we start thinking of inverse matrix, if matrix A is a matrix, we start thinking of A inverse. A is a matrix means from domain to codomain, matrix A is operating, and this is say whatever variables you have here, and now you are thinking of going from say set P to set Q. A is operating. Now you are thinking of going from set Q to set P. Then do you think that there should be some conditions on A? Of course, matrix A must be having bijection. What do we mean by that? So can you think a bit and tell me how matrix A should, so that we can think of inverse of a matrix. Okay, so as to find out conditions on A, let us discuss in general what is function. Okay, if my domain is two dimensional, that means I have x-axis and y-axis with me. This is domain, and a function is getting operated, and you are getting a codomain which is three dimensional, x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. Okay, so we define an image I here. Suppose the function f is a matrix 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus or 0, minus 1, minus 2, 0. So I here E1 becomes 1, 2, 3, that is 1, 2 is this, 3 is this, let me use colors. E1 becomes this, E2 becomes minus 1, minus 2, minus 1, minus 2. E2 becomes this, right? And it is a space. So what is going to happen? Every vector in the domain, suppose we want to find out image of this vector, it will be in the plane determined by vectors. You cannot escape that plane because it is going to be linear combination of these two. So even if your codomain has dimension 3, your images will have dimension 2. Because how can you get three-dimensional image when you have originally two-dimensional image? This is pre-image. Your original image is two-dimensional. You want three-dimensional image by some function f, not possible. And therefore, there will be many points in three-dimensional space which will not receive any image. Do you understand? So if this is the case, dimension of domain is smaller than dimension of codomain, you must have into function. Understood? Okay. Second case. Array, I am not looking at you and I am assuming that you have understood. Have you understood? आता बघतोय सांगा. हो, अरे समजलंय का? सोपं आहे. ओके. Now second situation. Suppose you have domain two-dimensional and your operating function g, and your codomain is one-dimensional, only x. So you have two-dimensional domain x comma y, and codomain under g is only one-dimensional. Let us see. I becomes say 1 comma 2. Sorry. Uh, what is going to be the dimension of this? Rn to Rm, so 2, 1 by 2 matrix. 1 row and 2 columns. In this matrix, G, what will happen? I will become 1 and your J will become say 3. This is 1 by 2 matrix, therefore R2 to R1. Okay, that is what it is. So what is this matrix G saying? Your I goes to 1. This is 0, I goes to 1. This is your E1 dash. This is your E1. And what is the second number says? J, which is E2, goes to E2 dash. Okay. Now, if you consider any linear combination of E1 and E2 in this domain, it is going to go and lie on this line. Corresponding linear combination of E1 dash and E2 dash. It will not leave this line because in the codomain only one dimensional codomain, two dimensional domain, right? So image will of course be one dimensional, not more than that. So here the function is going to be many one. If I want new vector 2 in my E vector which is equal to 2 in my codomain, I must find out what is the pre-image of vector 2. Okay, you multiply E1 by 2, this will give you 2, or what? 1 goes to 3, I want 2, so 2/3 of E2 will also give 2, and there are infinitely many combinations of E1 and E2 will give you 2, that is why it is many one. So when the domain dimension is more than that of codomain, you get many one function. When domain dimension is less than that of codomain, you get two functions. And for inverse function, we don't want both of them. And therefore, we need to have dimension of domain and codomain same. Hence, A has inverse EINVERSE if and only if A is square. A is square matrix. Is this sufficient? Let me take a condition where this is not going to be sufficient. The counter example in this is, suppose I take two-dimensional domain x comma y. Okay, you want codomain also two-dimensional x dash comma y dash. Very good. Function H is getting operated, or A, matrix A is getting operated, and I define matrix A as 1 comma 5, 2 comma 10. What does it mean? You have system XY system here, you have XY system here, you want A to get operated, and it is said that your E1 vector goes and sits at this place 1 comma 5 E1 dash, and it is said that your second vector E2 goes and sits at 2 comma 10, right? Now you are expected, because it is 2 by 2, 2 by 2 does not mean this function which A is still difficult to take inverse, because you have many more points. If I want this vector in the codomain, I won't be able to get with this setup in the domain. So even if your domain has dimension 2, even if your codomain has dimension 2, but the images will be collinear. So you are, you are not using the complete dimension of codomain, and your definition of A is such that it is spoiling the total dimension of codomain. Only one dimension is used, remaining dimensions are not used. In this case also, we will not be able to take inverse, because I can produce, say, -1, -5 vector, -1, -5 vector by more than one ways. You can get this vector by many different ways, and therefore it is not 1, 1 on 2. It still continues to be many 1, and therefore even if your dimensions are same, even if, it is necessary that it should be square matrix, but it is not sufficient, and therefore one more condition. When this happens, if you look at the determinant, because these two vectors are not linearly independent. Had they been linearly independent in the codomain, they would span the complete two-dimensional space. But because they are not linearly independent, they are dependent on each other. They are not spanning the two-dimensional space, which is dangerous for inverse. We just cannot take inverse in that case. Therefore, A has inverse if and only if A is a square matrix and determinant of A is not equal to 0. Now you will find the determinant of this is equal to 0. 10 minus 10 is equal to 0. So determinant is a number, but it is telling you what is happening inside the matrix. It is telling you if determinant is non-zero, that means good matrix, linearly independent. All the vectors 3, 4, 5, whatever number of vectors that you have, if the determinant of that matrix is not equal to 0, that means they are linearly independent vectors in that matrix. In this case, 2 by 2, we did not have linearly independent matrix, linearly independent vectors, because its determinant was 0. And hence, then once we have both of them, A as a square matrix, that means domain dimension and codomain dimension, they are matching, and determinant of A is non-zero, that means all of them, all the images which are produced are spanning the space, and therefore if you want to have an inverse, you must have square matrix which is non-singular. Singular means determinant is 0. Okay, so it is good. But then what how do we define inverse of a matrix? Exactly same as inverse of a real number. If A is a matrix, A is square, non-singular matrix, then you need to have a matrix, either say you are pre-multiplying A by A so that you get an identity matrix. That is what we did in inverse, M4 of real numbers. You find out something, some other real number, such that if you multiply the other real number with the given real number, you produce multiplicative identity. And in case of matrices, multiplicative identity is say 1 1 1 0 0 0 0 0 0. This is the matrix which is identity matrix I3. So if you have A 3 by 3 non-singular, then you should be able to find out A inverse, which is pre-multiplied by A to produce identity matrix. And there are a couple of methods of finding out A inverse, and we will study all of them, because see, now it is confirmed that A will have dimension n by n or m by n, and therefore dimension of A inverse also is going to be n by n. They are going to be square matrices, and hence the identity matrix that you will also produce will be n by n. So multiplication wise they are going to be with each other. Now it is the algebra of matrix A that we need to do so that we get A inverse. So maybe it is easy to do it. For 2 by 2 I ask you to do it. Find A inverse of 2 3 minus 5 7. Okay, now the brute force method, you multiply A, B, C, D by 2, 3 minus 5, 7 to get 1, 0, 0, 1. 4 equations simultaneously solve, 4 unknowns, you will get values, and 7 by 29, 5 by 29, minus 3 by 29, 2 by 29. Those are the answers. But then if it is 3 by 3, 4 by 4, 5 by 5, then we will have tough time going by this method, and therefore we should have some efficient methods to find out the inverse. Now, let me explain you one method for this matrix only. 2 minus 5, 3, 7 is equal to, now if I pre-multiply this by 1, 0, 0, 1, do you know what you eventually get? It is multiplying by 1 to real number, it is equivalent to that. You end up getting the same matrix. That is why the identity matrix is multiplicative identity for matrices. This is true. The matrix equation we will write I into A is equal to A, because multiplication by I does not make any difference. Therefore, now what we should do is, we should consider this matrix 1, 0, 2, 3, 0, 1, minus 5, 7. And perform, I mean, this is composition of a function, everything that is there in our mind, okay, and perform transformations such that you get 1, 0, 0, 1 out of this matrix in RHS. You get this is 2, 3 minus 5, 7. So this is the augmented matrix I have written, all the 3 matrices put together. Now your efforts should be such that you make this, transform this matrix into the matrix looking like 1, 0, 0, 1. And for doing that, what row transformations you are required to do, you do it. I mean, you did not have to write the middle one, because middle one is A. We don't want to change A. So you write only 4 entries. Let me just do it again. Okay. I write 1. I write 1, 0, 0, 1 augmented with 2, 3, 5, 7. If I consider this augmented matrix and start transforming it such that this entry becomes 1 and this entry becomes 1, this entry becomes 0 and this entry becomes 0. So we are good at it. Therefore, if I want this to be 1, I should divide. So 1 by 2, 0, 0, 1 augmented 1, 3 by 2 minus 5, 7. Do you understand this step? These are equivalent systems. Okay, I have achieved 1 here. Now I want to achieve 0 here. So 5 times row number 1 to be added to row number 2. 5 times row number, first row will remain same. 5 times row number 1 to be added to remain row number 2, you get 5 by 2. You get 1. You get 0. 5 times row number 1 is 15 by 2 is to be added to 7. 29 by 2. Check whether I am doing. Okay. From here, now I am supposed to make this fellow 1, this entry 1. So 1, 0, 1, 3 by 2. So what operation? Divide by, multiply by 2 by 29. So 1 half 0, 2 by 29 is 5 upon 29 and 2 upon 29. It has happened so much so far. And now you want this fellow to be 0, which means multiply row number 2 by 3 by 2 minus 3 by 2 and add 0, 0, 1. Okay, multiply row number 2 by minus 3 by 2. So it is minus 3 by 2 plus 0 is minus 3 by 2. Minus 3 by 2, 5 by 29 into minus 3 by 2 plus half. Correct? Okay. How much this is? Is this correct? Multiply row number 2 by minus 3 by 2 and add it to 1. Okay. So, how much is this? Can you guess? Is it 7 by 29? 15. Is it 7 by 29? Say yes or no. This is what is the equivalent system. We started with IA and we got I inverse. This was I, which becomes A inverse. Multiplied by A will continue to remain same. We should become I. We started with I into A is equal to A. By corresponding row transformations, we converted the same system into A inverse multiplied by A is equal to I. We maintained the relationship of this fellow and this fellow. We did not alter that relationship. And therefore, if I started looking like A inverse, A will start looking like I. That is what is the method. So it is pre-multiplication. Now, therefore, this is the first method of finding out inverse. Let me give you 3 by 3 and you get me inverse of 3 by 3. Let me check whether I have good inverse for 3 by 3. As far as 2 by 2 is concerned, it is very simple. I mean, once you do it, 2 or 3 2 by 2 you do it, you will get to know. What has happened is these principal diagonal elements got flipped. Eventually 7 and 2 got flipped, and actually you got the other diagonal elements also flipped, 5 and minus 3, but this should have been my minus 5 here and 3, but they got their sign also changed. Okay, so if A, B, C, D is A, then A inverse, and division is their determinant. 14 वजा 14 अधिक 15, 29 is the determinant. So if A is this, then A inverse would be equal to 1 upon AD plus BC, that is the determinant of it, multiplied by DA you flip them and change their signs. Minus C minus B. This is going to be A inverse. If we multiply these two, A into A inverse, sorry, A inverse. If we multiply these two, we will end up getting identity. So for 2 by 2, you need not have to spend time. You can directly use this, provided AD plus BC is not equal to 0. Otherwise, it does not make sense. And therefore, whether you check determinant or not, determinant is sitting there to evaluate.
It should be AD minus BC, right?
AD, determinant should be AD minus BC. Yes. Where is my cursor? Determinant is always AD minus BC. So AD minus BC is sitting there. If by mistake, suppose I give you 3, 12, 4, 16, 12 3 36, now 36, 9. By mistake, suppose I give you this matrix to find out the inverse. You should not tell that 12, 3 minus 4, 9 is the inverse of this. This is A inverse. If you say so, it is wrong, because you are supposed to put 1 upon 0 here, and the moment you put that, this is wrong. This is not correct. Therefore, AD minus BC is a watchman sitting there, whether you make mistake or not. Therefore, you should remember the formula like that: 1 upon determinant of A into dA minus B minus. Is it clear? Okay. So now find inverse of after getting all those row transformations done, you will get finally the identity matrix getting converted into A inverse, which looks like A inverse is equal to half minus half, half minus 4, 3 minus 1, 5 by 2 minus 3 by 2, half. This is the inverse of A. Now, what we are doing is row transformation. So let us learn exactly what do we mean by row transformation, because now we have defined the multiplication of matrices. Okay, so zero, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 1. Okay, suppose I pre-multiply this matrix. Suppose I pre-multiply this matrix by 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay, so I am doing, this is my E1, first transformation matrix. I want to transform this matrix A, and I want to convert eventually that matrix A into identity matrix, and therefore I am required to flip the rows. Okay, so we said simultaneous equations does not make any change in solution set, and therefore you can always flip the rows. But if we use matrix multiplication for flipping the rows, then what is that matrix by which you should multiply given matrix A so that you will get rows flipped? Now, if you really multiply this, you will end up getting 0 into 0, 0, 1, 0. So first entry will be 1. Second entry 0 into 1. Normally I put those hands, but here it is not possible. 0 into 1, 0, 1 into 2, 2, 0 into 2, 0, 1 into 3, 0, 3, 0 into 1. So I got my second row on the first position. Now second row, 1 into 0, 0, 0 into 1, 0, 0 into 0, 0. 1 into 1, 1, 0, 0. 1 into 2, 2, 0, 0. 1 into 2, 2, 0. 2. Okay, and the last row 0 into 0, 0, 0, 3 as it is. 0, 1, 0, 2, 1 as it is. 0, 2, 0, 3, 0. Okay, so have you understood? Last lecture we have learned that we can always flip the rows. But now by flipping the rows means multiplying by even. And how do I get this even? It is identity matrix 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, whose rows are flipped. Well, first row is at second position, second row is at first position, and this matrix, identity modified identity matrix, if you pre-multiply by A, you get the row flipped. Okay. Now, fortunately, this second number is 0, so we saved one row transformation. Now, let us make this fellow third row 0. Okay. If I want to make third row 0, what should we do? What is the transformation that we used to say that multiply 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. Multiply first row minus 3 and add it to, sorry, हे बदलायचं नाही आहे, this is 1 only. You change your row number 3 should be multiply first row by minus 3 and add it to the third row. So it becomes minus 3, 0, 1. Identity matrix, when you multiply first row by minus 3 and add it to third, will you get 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, minus 3, 0, 1? Okay, so 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, minus 3, 0, 1 is my next pre-multiply. I am actually supposed to write it here. This is E2. 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, minus 3, 0, 1. But I am writing it here because I want to process this fellow now. 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1. Right? Let me do the multiplication. 1 into 1, 1, 0 into 0, 0. So one first row will continue to remain same. You may cross check 0 into 2. 1 into 2, 0 into 1, 0 into 1. 1 into 3, 0 into 2, 0 into 1. So first row is same. Second row, 0 into 1, 0, 1 into 0, 0, 0. So first, second row also will continue to remain same. 1, 2. You may cross check. 0 into 2, 1 into 1, 0 into 1, 1. 0 into 3, 1 into 2, 0 into 1, 2. Okay, now what is the third row? Minus 3 into 1, 0 into 0, 1 into 3, 0. Minus 3 into 2, minus 6, 0, 1, minus 5. Minus 9, 0, 1, minus 8. Do you understand what is happening? I mean, third row, we actually, what did we do in this case? we multiplied first row by -3 and added. So -3 into 2, -6 plus 1 -5, -9 plus 1 -8. Whatever we used to do by row transformation, now I have got E2 doing that. Okay, so we got 1 0 0 in place. Fortunately, our second pivot is also ready with us. Now we want to make this -5 0. So identity matrix 1 0 0 0 0 1. Now the third row here is 0 0 1 in identity matrix. If we want to make this fellow 0, that means multiply row number 2 by 5 and add. Sorry, multiply row number 2 by 5 and add. So if I multiply row number 2 by 5 and add, this entry will become 5 and this will continue to remain 1. So my E3 is going to be 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 5 1. This is E3, and I am supposed to multiply E3 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 5 1 to 1 2 3 0 1 2 0 minus 5 minus 8, which will give me, of course, now I am confident that first two rows will not alter. 1 2 3 0 1 2. Third row 0 into 1 0, 5 into 0 0, 0 into 1 0. So this is 0. Second row 0 into 2, 5 into 1 minus 5 into 1 0. Third row 0 into 3 0, 5 into 2 10 minus 8. Now I am supposed to make this fellow 1, therefore my E4 matrix is going to be 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0. What am I supposed to do? Divide the 0 0 half. So if I multiply this matrix 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 half multiplied by 1 2 3 0 1 2 0 0 2, it will become 1 2 3 0 1 2 0 0 1. Correct? Now we are supposed to do upper ones here, these two. When this should be 0, this should be. Now we can do it. Let us create E5 simultaneously doing it. E5 is last row is going to be 0 1 0 0 0 1 of identity matrix. Now we want last row to be multiplied by -1. Let me make it here. Last row to be multiplied by -2 and added to second. Okay, so 0 1 -2, and here also I want to make 0, therefore last row is to be multiplied by -3 and added. Okay, so 1 0 -3. This is going to make two transformations. Let us call this as E5. It will make two transformations, 1 0 -3, 0 1 -2, 0 0 1, and we are supposed to multiply 1 0 -3, 0 1 -2, 0 0 1 by 1 2 3, 0 1 2, 0 0 1. What is the answer that we get? 1 into 1 1 0 0. First number is 1. 1 into 2 2 0 0. That is 2. Now third entry 3 0 minus 3 0 0 0 0 2 1 0. Third entry 0 2 minus 2 0, and the last row is not going to change, it is 0 0 1. Okay, so this is E5. Now only one thing which is remaining is convert this fellow to 0, and our transformation matrix is going to be add third row, I mean multiply third row by minus 2 and add. So 1 not third row, second row, minus 2 and add, so minus 2 and add, so this will become minus 2, and this is 0, so it gets added to 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. So now 1 minus 2 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 multiplied by 1 2 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 is equal to, we should get identity 1 0 0 2 minus 2 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 2 2 1 sorry 0 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 1. Okay, so this is our E5. E6 E6, when we pre-multiply by E6, we end up, now our RHS is identity matrix, right? And we started with A and we kept on doing row transformations. Now what is required to be done by you is multiply these 6 matrices in this order. E6 into E5 into E4 into E3 into E2 into E1 should be A inverse. Because multiplication of all these matrices is going to be 2 by 2 matrix. That entire block is supposed to be A inverse, because this block when multiplied to A generates identity matrix. So it is one of a kind of an effort, we have to do it once, and you should ensure that this row transformation is pre-multiplication of a matrix by modified identity matrix. Karamaye 6 matrices are multiplied together, and finally you will get A inverse. Cross check whether your multiplication is correct or not. Many entries are 0, therefore it is not going to take much time. Okay, you can complete that work of multiplying those 6 transformation matrices and get the A inverse. Now, suppose you have a 3 by 3 matrix A11, A12, A13, A21, A22, A23, A31, A32, A33. Okay. Then in this notation, capital A11 is capital A11 is maybe before that capital M11 is A22, A23, A32, A33. minor 1 1. First row, first column. Minor of first row, first column is ignore first row, ignore first column, and whatever determinant is remaining, that is called minor of 1 1. Minor of say 3 2 will be what? Minor of 3 2, ignore row number 3, column number 2, whatever remains, A11, A13, A21, A23 is minor of 3 2. Like that we will have minors of all 9 elements. In 3 by 3, all 16 elements in 4 by 4 or 25 elements in 5 by 5, all 4 elements in 2 by 2. Okay, so this is called minor. Now, capital A11 is cofactor 1 1, which is denoted by capital A11, which is minus 1 raised to I plus j. Actually, the formula is I plus j, ith row and jth column. So here it is 1 plus 1. That is the sign you are supposed to give to minus 1 multiplied by M11. That is your cofactor. Okay, so eventually it is minus 1 raised to 2, so plus 1 into A22, A23, A32, A33. This is your cofactor of A11. Cofactor of A12 will be minus 1 of, because 1 plus 2 is 3, minus 1 raised to 3 is odd. Therefore, minus 1 will survive, and then determinant will be A12, first row, second column you eliminate, A21, A23, A31, A33. Understood? Like that, we will have cofactors of all 9 elements. Is that correct? Okay. Now, understand, suppose this is our matrix A, A11, A12, A13, A21, A22, A23, A31, A32, A33. If we multiply by transpose cofactor matrix, that means A11, A21, A31, A12, A22, A32, A13, A23, A33. What is this? Transpose cofactor matrix. If we would have made a cofactor matrix as it is, then it is A11, A12, A13, A21, A22, A23, A31, A32, A33. This would have been cofactor matrix, row followed by column. So first row, first column, first row, second column, so and so. This is cofactor matrix, and you transpose it, interchange rows and columns of cofactor matrix. You get this matrix. Now, if we multiply these two matrices, can you tell me what will you get in RHS? Think and tell me, show me what is the multiplication of matrix A and transpose cofactor matrix of A. What is this that you will get? Okay, because it is multiplication which we are trying to do is general, you may not get quick idea about what is going to happen. Instead, what we can do is 3 by 3 matrix whose inverse we have already found out. A 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 1. Find out transpose cofactor matrix of A. Transpose cofactor matrix of A is called adjoint of A. Adjoint of A. So you find out this adjoint of A matrix, capital A 1 1, capital A 2 1, capital A 3 1, and then multiply and see what you get in RHS. That is more easy. Capital A 1 1 minus 1, capital A 2 1 8, capital A 3 1 minus 5, capital A 1 2 is 1, capital A 1 3 is minus 1, capital A 2 1 Leela, capital A 2 2 minus 6, capital A 2 3 2 plus 2, capital A 3 1 minus 5, capital A 3 2 3, capital A 3 3 minus 1. Now if you multiply these two, what will you get? Minus 1 0 1 minus 2. What is that you get? काय ते 0 1 minus 2 minus 1, 0 minus 6 plus 4 minus 2. काय येते असं? चुकतंय कसं माझं? हा बरोबर आहे का? ऍडजॉइंट जो लिहिलाय तो 8 0 minus 6 minus 4 plus 4 चुकतंय काहीतरी. हा जो मित्र माझा आहे त्याने नीट गणित केलेली नाहीये. बाय द वे ऍडजॉइंट बरोबर आहेत का सगळे? A11 minus 1 बरोबर आहे. A12 याचा ऍडजॉइंट 1 minus नाही ना, -8 पाहिजे इंटू -1 बरोबर आहे, +8. 2 चा ऍडजॉइंट 1 minus 6 is -5 बरोबर आहे. मल्टिप्लिकेशन का चुकतंय? 0 1 minus 2 minus 1, 8 into 0 0 minus 6 plus 4 minus 2 येतं इथे. Tell me what is the mistake? Now numerically, if you observe, it is a diagonal matrix with -2 -2 -2, which is a determinant of matrix A. So if we multiply A by adjoint of A, we end up getting diagonal elements as determinant of A and every other element is 0. So this is diagonal matrix. You can take out determinant of A common and it becomes identity matrix, and therefore A multiplied by adjoint of A upon determinant of A is equal to identity matrix, and hence we can call adjoint of A upon determinant of A as A inverse. This is second method of finding out inverse. Up to 3 by 3, this method seems to be better or quick compared to transformation method. But if the dimensions are more, transformation method will give you faster results. That is where we stop for the day. Tomorrow, next lecture, we will discuss why these guys are 0 and why this diagonal element suddenly appears to be determinant of A, reasons behind it, and then we will learn next here. Any questions?